Sex education for trainables? Is it possible? Or is it even necessary? Well, let's start with the last question first. Why necessary? Well, we must teach those with serious disabilities that hinder their learning to live as successfully as possible with other people. Now, this includes their sexual behavior. But rather than teach, which is somewhat difficult, it becomes a training situation with as much explanation as they can absorb. And is it possible? Well, through training, they will realize who they are as men and women and what is expected of them in social situations. Sex education for the trainables should be made as simple as ABC. A, awareness of their bodies and their feelings. B, understanding the simple mechanics of reproduction. And C, training in responsibilities and appropriate social behavior. So let's start with A. What should they learn about their bodies? As much as they can. Now, the ideal situation is a one-to-one basis. But if this is not possible, the group should be kept very small and include only those who will pay attention. Those who teach must do some special examination of how they themselves feel about sex.
Penis. Say penis.
Penis.
Louder.
Penis.
Give me another word for penis.
Prick.
Prick. Peter.
Cock.
Cock.
Rod.
Rod.
Dick.
Dick.
Prick.
Prick. We've got it.
Me.
What?
Ding
Meat?
dong.
Ding dong.
Ding dong.
Wine.
Ron. Right one.
Wiener.
Wiener. I don't know how
Talking
to
about
spell
and using sexual terminology is difficult for many people because of the guilt and embarrassment from our heritage.
it. Okay, let's all say it, okay? Prick.
Prick.
Peter. Cock. Rod. Dick. Meat. Ding dong. Wand. Wiener. Tool. Joint.
Teachers must be able to use these words without becoming upset, or they will not be able to communicate with their students. Now, let us watch a teacher in an actual session, leading a discussion concerning the differences between boy and girl.
Okay, we talked about some of the differences now between men and women and the jobs they do that Sandy mentioned. Okay? Now let's just look at the bodies. We're going to talk about the other things that make a man and a woman different. Okay? Now, what about up here? Are they the same?
Not as a man.
No. Okay. Nancy, do you know what a woman has up here? What are these called? Do you know a word? Do you know a word for those? Any word? Anybody?
I do.
Breast.
Breast.
The breast.
Okay. Do you know any other words for those?
Tits.
Tits. Okay. Right. Okay. Everybody knows one of those two words?
Yes.
Do you think that's a nice thing for women to have?
Yes.
Hmm? Are you happy that you have breasts?
Yes.
Hmm? I am.
Yes, go along with that.
Huh?
I go along with that.
You think that's a nice thing for women to have?
Right.
Okay. What does the man have that the woman doesn't have? Hmm?
Penis.
Very good. Penis. Does everyone know that word?
Yes.
Penis. What do you think? Do you think that's a good thing for a man to have a penis?
I think.
I think
The technique used is drawing out rather than pumping in. The teacher refers to boy or girl as being something very special. Understanding the body parts and functions considerably improves their self-esteem. Taking the time to answer a question directly and fully on an individual basis is an effective way of teaching.
You asked a question about it, and I found some pictures that might help explain what happens, this is the male penis here, right? Okay. Now, do you know what can happen to this? In other words, it's soft at this time.
Gets hard.
It does get hard.
Yeah.
Now, you had to ask me how it gets hard, right?
How it doesn't get hard.
Well, there's a picture of the male penis. This is the same man with the penis getting hard. Every man's penis can get hard at certain times. Do you ever have that happen to you?
Once in a while.
Yeah. Do you ever wonder about it?
Yeah, I wonder about
Yeah.
that.
What usually happens after it gets hard?
When I go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
Fix up it, go in the toilet, then it goes down.
Very good. You know, inside the male penis, there are a lot of little blood vessels in there,
That's right.
inside, and these kind of swell up, and that's how it gets hard. And it's a very normal thing. Every boy goes through that. Every boy goes through that. You realize that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. As long as you know that.
Sandy, we're going to talk again about the parts of your body, okay? And the fact that a girl has 3 holes between her legs.
Yeah.
3. How many, Sandy?
3.
Okay, now let's look at this picture, okay?
Yes.
You see that? This hole here is the hole where you make a BM,
Yes.
and it's called your rectum,
Yes.
okay? And this hole here is the hole from which you pee when you go to the bathroom or urinate.
Yes. What else would you use it for?
Well, that's just used to urinate.
No, it's not. It's used to menstruate, too.
No, that's another hole, and we'll talk about that, because there's 3 holes here. Now, you show me what I showed you.
Yeah. This is when it says, this is when you menstruate.
No, this is the hole you pee from.
Yes.
This is the hole you make a BM from.
Yes.
And this hole in between the 2,
Yes.
that's called your vagina.
Yes.
And that's the hole from which you menstruate.
Yes.
Now,
Have them
you show it
repeat,
to me.
if possible, to show that the lesson is being understood. And then, a few days or a week later, review the exercise to check on the progress. As a first step in understanding reproduction, we need to prepare trainables for the emotional and physical changes in their bodies. Children need this information before they reach puberty. Adolescents and adults who have never had this training need this knowledge as a foundation. For instance, a girl with a serious learning handicap who has been introduced to the experience of menstruation will be able to accept her first period without trauma.
This is what happens to me. It will happen to you. It's all right. It's part of being a woman.
This communication is repeated many times so that when a girl has her first period, she will not be frightened.
This is what happens to me. It will happen to you. It's all right. It's part of being a woman.
Acting out the steps through the method of pantomime enables the girl to know whom to tell and how to care for herself when her period begins.
Hey, Frank. How come you haven't gotten up yet?
I'm wet and sticky.
Oh. When did that happen? Did it happen during the night? Or did it just happen now? Do you know?
No.
Well, if you're sticky, maybe it was a wet dream. Do you know what a wet dream is?
No.
Well, you know, how old are you now? You must be about,
The counselor shows a calm, accepting approach to this boy who has just had a wet dream. There is no scolding or recrimination. The boy is not frightened, and there is no reason for him to feel guilty.
Frank, I'm sure you understand now just what happened and that this is probably going to happen quite a few times more, like it does to everybody else, and it's quite normal, right? I think the best thing we can do now is to show you how to clean it up. Okay? Okay.
Now we come to a very important section. one that everyone dreads, or is embarrassed by, or tries to avoid completely. The simple mechanics of reproduction, or sex, or screwing, or whatever you want to call it.
This is a pillow, and the lady's lying down. Sandy?
Yes.
Is the lady lying down on her back?
Yes.
Okay. And the man's lying down on top of her?
Yes.
Right? Okay. And they're having sex?
Yes.
Right? And sex is a way that a man and woman start a baby. His penis gets hard, see?
Yes.
Okay, it gets hard and it sticks out from his body. And that's when the man puts his penis, okay, into the hole that the lady has between her legs.
Yes.
Okay? Now see, that's what he's doing. He's putting the penis into the hole between her legs.
The girls are not confused by the introduction of different positions or moralizations.
That's how the lady is pregnant.
If the retardate can understand sexual intercourse, future sessions could include related responsibilities, such as appropriate times and places, and the purpose of birth control. Many people believe that important elements of sex education are social behavior and responsibilities. Social acceptability involves being comfortable with one's own sexuality.
Oh, excuse me, Ricky. Ricky, I did see what you were doing. It felt good, didn't it? It's all right. We all have feelings like this sometimes. I'm just glad you're doing this in the privacy of your own room. When you're a little bit older, we'll have to talk more about these feelings and what causes them and how we can control these feelings. I'm sorry I intruded on your privacy. I'll be sure to knock next time, okay?
This manner of response frees the child of guilt and assures him he is normal. It opens communication between parent and child and introduces the concept of responsibility for his behavior.
All right. Okay. What are you making?
A rabbit.
That's nice. That's nice. You really use nice colors.
Thank you.
And what are you making? Can you tell me what you're making?
1, 2.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, everybody's drawing a nice picture. How are you doing, Sandy? Okay, Sandy, what are you doing? Okay, you stop and finish your picture, okay? All right? Finish your snowman. You're going to hang your picture in the art contest?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And what's that again?
Snowman.
You want to make another one?
If a trainable does not respond to verbal admonition for masturbating in front of others, she is removed from the group. This is repeated as many times as necessary until she realizes this is not acceptable social behavior. If they cannot be made to understand through this method, they may need special help.
Well, here we are going out to lunch. What are you going to have for lunch, Carol? Oh, I thought I'd have... Billy! Hey! This is my old friend Billy. This is my sister Carol.
Improvisation is another method used to teach trainables social skills.
So where are you going?
Here, two people are learning how to greet each other. The same method can be used to train them how to give and take affection appropriately.
Say, since Billy's alone, do you want to invite him to have lunch with us? You do? Okay. Why don't you come along with us and have some lunch?
Okay.
Okay. We were going this way.
How you doing?
I'm Susan.
What you been doing yourself?
Working in the bank.
What you doing at the bank?
I'm a cashier. Taking some time.
We going now?
To lunch.
Oh,
Where you going?
I'm going to lunch too.
Want to join me?
No, thank you.
Valentine, maybe?
Maybe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sex education should also involve instructing them how to recognize and avoid sexual exploitation. Trainables are particularly vulnerable because of common characteristics of trust, lack of judgment, and desire for affection. These individuals must be trained and exposed to well-supervised social situations in order to relate to both sexes.
Can you teach values or sexual morality to a trainable?
If you don't teach them, there's always the chance that they'll get in trouble, and they can be arrested.
Teachers should not thrust their own moral values on their students. There are too many conflicting moral systems today. This is the responsibility of the family, if available. However, it is the teacher's duty to enlighten their students on the commonly accepted standards of sexual behavior. No one should use the body of an unwilling partner for their own pleasure. Unprotected and unplanned sexual intercourse is wrong, and no one need allow anyone to touch their bodies if they do not want them to. We may not always succeed in reaching the trainables. We must always try.